What's up, folks? How's it going? It's been a minute since I made a video. As you can see, I'm in a new locale, which is actually the same locale except across the hall. Been extremely busy moving 2 people into my house, getting rid of a bunch of shit. There's nothing quite like a household filled with the shit that a crazy person accumulates over the course of a lifetime. It's a hell of an endeavor to go through all that crap. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. Also, I don't know. I haven't had anything that I wanted to talk about. The things that are irritating me the most, I've talked about in the last couple videos. I don't want to say everything over and over and over again. But for today, first thing I want to show you is a part of an article I saw on Fox News, which is about, it says 6-year-old Ohio girl placed on no-fly list. She wasn't actually on the no-fly list. Apparently her name, I guess, was on the no-fly list or something like that. But that's not really what I'm here to point out. This is the statement of her father, Dr. Santosh Thomas. Doctor. This is what he says. We were like puzzled. I'm like, well, she's kinda 6 years old, and this is not something that should be typical. We were like puzzled. I'm like, well, she's kinda 6 years old. Not kind of, kinda. That's how it was quoted here. Dr. Santosh Thomas. It's what more can be fucking said about this shit? Another thing I read yesterday that pissed me off pretty hardcore, and it's become something that's been quite typical over the past year and a half or so, especially on CNN. Their attempts at race baiting are really disturbing and distressing. They've taken some facts, like what I feel to be true is that a lot of these Tea Party people would not be so upset if Obama was not black. Not to say that this is their main motivation, but it does not help his position. And I stand by that. They'll say that I'm making up bullshit. Whatever. I don't think that they would be doing this if Hillary Clinton was the president or anybody who's not black. But they've taken that concept of a little bit of racism towards Barack Obama and turned it into this whole, now is our opportunity to talk shit about how racist white people are all the time. If you've listened to me long enough, you know my stance on racism, which is pretty much that racism is like any other thing in the regard that some of it is based in fact and some of it is exaggeration. But if you live long enough around enough kind of people, you realize that pretty much everyone is pretty retarded in equal amounts. Race is no definite statement about what a person is going to be like at all, usually. But some people always conform to stereotypes. But racism as an idea is pretty retarded. But they, the fine folks at CNN find it absolutely necessary to remind me every day how racist I am. Apparently, they had an article about dolls. They had a little girl. A little girl was given 3 dolls, pictures of 3 dolls. One was white, one was like half dark, half white or whatever, or an in-between shade, and the other one was dark. And she was asked questions like, which is the smart doll? And she pointed to the white doll. And which is the evil doll? And she pointed to the black doll. This was a white girl that did this. And the mother was crying or whatever. Absolute bullshit journalism. Doesn't prove anything. The only thing that those answers prove is that this kid is either stupid or too young to understand. The only real answer to that question would be, what the fuck are you talking about? These are dolls. But that's the kind of quality journalism you get over at CNN. But I read an article the other day about white people taking minority roles in movies And the first movie, it was a black woman that wrote the article. The first movie that she talked about was Prince of Persia, which is starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Have not seen it, not interested in it, but it is a movie about a video game. So, does it really matter so much? It's not like he's portraying a historical Persian character. I guess I could understand it a little bit more if he was playing some Persian guy with some dude that actually existed. But okay, fine, that's alright, so he's not Persian. Then we move on to something that's so fucking stupid, I cannot even believe that it showed up on CNN's website. It shows me that the people who work at CNN are either not reading the articles that they're putting up, or they're all fucking retarded. Because this person goes on to talk about, apparently Angelina Jolie is playing Cleopatra, or she played Cleopatra, I don't know, I don't really pay attention to movies. Angelina Jolie is playing Cleopatra in some movie, and this woman took issue with this because she said, Angelina Jolie is playing Cleopatra, who's a black woman. Cleopatra is not even Egyptian, and Egyptians are not black. That's how fucking stupid this person is. They think Africa, they assume black. Not everybody that lives in Africa is black. You understand? People who live in Egypt are not considered black. They certainly don't consider themselves black. I don't think anybody would consider these people black. I wouldn't call... Go tell Egyptian people that they're black and hear what they have to say to you. But Cleopatra is Greek. Okay? When Alexander the Great did his thing, took over a bunch of area, died, split his shit up between his different lieutenants to generals, whatever, and one of them was Ptolemy. Ptolemy got control of Egypt. He replaced the pharaohs with his own ruling dynasty, and Greeks ruled in Egypt for some time, and Cleopatra was a descendant of this line of Greek pharaohs. Okay, so Cleopatra is not even Egyptian, she's Greek. The Egyptians aren't even black. That's how fucking retarded this shit is, okay? Just stop it, alright? It's really not that hard to prevent completely retarded shit like this from appearing on your website. I'm very disturbed with the news. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't paying very much attention. I mean, I've kind of come into the world of mass media really in the past couple of years. I didn't watch a lot of news, really. I didn't use the internet a lot. But I'll tell you what, some of the titles for these articles and the language that is used in articles, especially on CNN, is so juvenile that sometimes I can't even tell if what I'm reading is true. They use slang and they say stupid shit. Like, at least give the illusion that you're intelligent people telling us what's happening. That's the only reason that we trust you, because we're supposed to assume that the people writing down the news are smarter than us, at least, know more things than we do. That's how we're able to trust that the news is true. But when the shit is written by fucking people that look like they haven't even taken a 100-level English course in college, it's really pretty fucking disturbing, I don't even know what to say. I continue to be pissed off by this immigration issue, trying to explain to people my position. I just can't do it yet. Or I haven't done it right yet. But I think I have one point to say. The main argument that I get when I talk about wanting to seal up the border and make sure that, no more of these motherfuckers are coming in here illegally, the main argument that I get is usually something along the lines of, everybody in America is an immigrant, talking from some position like up above, like they're telling us this from some pedestal way in the sky. You're all immigrants too. Well, I can trace parts of my family back to before this country even existed, so I would say that we're pretty fucking well established. But yeah, that's true. We are all immigrants. If you're not a Native American, you're an immigrant. That's fine. The difference between the large immigrant influxes that we saw before, like for example the influx of Chinese to help build the railroad, the influx of a lot of Irish, Germans, Italians, and whatnot around the turn of the century. The reason why these immigrations were a good thing, okay, and why it was allowed, in the amounts that it was allowed is because there was a shortage of labor. Okay, there were more things that needed to be done than there were bodies to do them. All right, and we had this huge country that seemed to go on forever, and we needed to fill up space. We needed people in between to keep the connections. So that's why they let in all these people. The difference between then and now is that now there is a shortage of labor. I cannot stress this enough. There's no like magical well of jobs that just appear for these people, okay? There's a finite amount, all right? We cannot continue to accept the runoff from Mexico. And I get arguments about, it's really easy for Canadians to come back and forth. What's up with that? Is this a racist thing? And it's like, no, the difference between Canada and Mexico is that Canada is a fucking civilized country with laws, all right, that is on the same level as the United States. They're also our most important trading partner. And we have a great amount of trust between these two countries. That's why people are able to come across the border so freely. You still have to have a passport, so it's not completely free game. But it's pretty easy to live in Canada or live in America, if you're Canadian. Mexico has always been a shithole and is becoming more of a shithole as time goes on. Granted, the reason that these gangs are going on is pretty much our fault for pushing this drug war. Though I have to, when I look at this situation, sort of go with a wise man named Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, who's more the fool or the fool who follows him? And that would be the question I would ask these South American countries who have, so willingly taken up the mantra of the war on drugs. Yes, they want our money. I don't think that excuses their fuck up. Either way, even without the drug war and without these drug gangs, Mexico has always kind of been a shithole. I'm sorry. Before, I wouldn't have called it a third world nation, but goddammit, it's really creeping up there. And they can't control these people whatsoever. We can't control all crime in our country either, but frankly, I really do not see drug gangs assaulting U.S. Army fucking convoys and shit like that. It's never going to happen here. Only in Mexico. They can't even stop the fucking army from deserting. These are the reasons why we have to keep the border secure. Look at the crises caused by refugees moving from country to country during war. Look at the problems in Africa. Look at the current problems in Kyrgyzstan. With the violence in Kyrgyzstan, the Uzbeks are going to Uzbekistan, where a lot of them are probably going to stay. But that's caused a major fucking problem. And right now, it's almost like we have a refugee crisis on our hands. There's so many people trying to come across a border, there's no fucking way to keep track of them at all. It's become a free zone where laws don't really matter and anybody can bring whatever and whoever they want across a border. I don't understand why this is some crazy thing that I'm saying. It seems pretty legitimate. Over 1 million American men have died over the course of our history to make sure that we have some semblance of order in this country and that we have strong borders and that we can be mostly sure that all the things that we have stay with us. And if you don't understand why that's a good thing, then you probably should grow up a tiny bit, and realize what the world is really all about, man. If Mexico wants to help itself, what it should do is join an international call for the end of the drug war, which I think would be taken up by a large amount of the populace in the United States. End the drug war. And then after that, Mexico needs to get its shit together. They don't need, however, to come into our country and tell us that they don't like our new immigration policies. They frankly can go fuck themselves because they have absolutely no control over their borders at all. We are the only ones that are even keeping an eye on that. I'm coming to the point of wanting to call Mexico a failed state. You have fucking drug gangs recruiting people right out of the army. Alright, it's no joke. These people have to be watched. And now they're threatening our border patrol agents and threatening police departments and across the border. if this goes on for much longer and continues to escalate, and Mexico is either unable or unwilling, if they're unable to stop this, then they're a failed state. If they're unwilling, then I would consider them to be in a state of almost proxy war with the United States by allowing these motherfuckers to raid across our border. And it's not just drugs, friends. A lot of people are like, well, who really gives a fuck about drugs? It's not just drugs. There's trade in weapons that nobody needs to have their hands on. No matter how much I support the right to personal defense, I don't think anybody should be having RPGs or, shit like that. There's also the human slave trade, sex slavery. Huge quantities of money that would be much better suited to be in our hands than in the hands of these fucking drug kingpins in Mexico. So there's more at stake here than just drugs. And there's the stake, the livelihoods of our fellow citizens that live across on the border are at stake. And the idea that right now, in a time of economic crisis, people are calling for boycotts of an American state. Arizona, man. Those are hardworking people just like everybody else. They got jobs and families and all kinds of shit. Bills to pay. Man, it's people's lives at stake. You're going to boycott your own people over some fucking policy that you don't even understand, because most of the people that are calling for this boycott don't understand that the new Arizona law is the exact fucking same thing as the federal law. Grow up a little bit. Drop this racism thing, because this is not what it's about. If there were, let's take my favorite foreigners, our British friends. Love British people. They speak English. They look like me. At least they're white. So it's not a racism thing, and I like their culture. But if 4 or 5 million British people were like, hey, can we come over there right now? I'd be like, maybe we should hold off for a couple of decades until we get our shit together and we have more jobs for you folks. I'm sorry. Yes, maybe it makes me a retarded redneck to be a nationalist to a certain extent, but I would rather keep as much of what's ours, since it is an extremely thankless profession to be the caretakers of the world, as we've seen over the past 50 or so years. I don't know, folks. All I'm saying is, I don't know where you live. I don't know what it's like where you live. A lot of you live in California. A lot of you live in New York, Ohio, all that. So you all have different ideas of what life is like. Well, there's a lot of places where people are very desperate for work, and the infrastructure is collapsing. And the last thing that we need is a large group of uneducated people that can't even speak our language coming over here and putting more strain on the system. I'm surprised that the people of the state of California haven't caught on to this yet. You have no money. You have no money to even pay for services for tax-paying citizens. You do not have the money to pay for services for these illegal immigrants. I'm sorry. This is not a racism thing, goddammit. It is about reality. Alright? It's fucking about reality. I don't know, man. And I actually like Mexicans, man. I do. I would love to, bring in as many fucking people as wanted to from all parts of the world, man. All fucking continents and countries. That would be great. And I hope at some point in time, the sooner the better, we have the excess in jobs that we can afford to take these people in. But right now we can't. And if anybody understands what America is about and wants America to be the kind of place where you can come and find a better life, you have to slow down, alright, and let shit get a little bit fixed up over here. It's like, you got a favorite fishing lake? If you overfish it, the fish are gone, man. Sometimes you got to take a little bit of a break. Take a couple of years off, let that stock rebuild. We need to take a couple of years off and let our economy recover before we can accept these people into our ranks as Americans. I don't know. So that's what I'm fucking talking about today. I'll talk to you later.